It's the Real Estate Podcast, brought to you by ANZ Home Loans for financial well-beings.
And welcome back to another episode of the Real Estate Breakfast. Yes, the weekend has hit us as we talk property news 7 days a week, as heard on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts and Amazon. A Saturday morning, June the 29th, nearly into July. And good luck to you with any of these property viewings, auctions that you might be looking at today, final contract signings, or simply checking out what looks good in your local suburb when transacting today or perhaps next week or next month. Nellie and Kane in Sydney, thank you for your email. You are listeners to the Real Estate Breakfast. This is interesting. You say that you have climbed the property ladder after saving for 5 years. You have just bought a one-bedroom apartment in Parramatta. In fact, we've had a few emails from first home buyers saying that they are attracted to Parramatta. And you say that to get there, to save for your deposit, you both gave up drinking coffee, which would be very difficult for me, I have to say. And you also gave up cafe lunches, which saved you around $13,000 every year. Across 5 years, that is $65,000. That is an unbelievable amount. Well done, because to give up the coffee, that is very, very hard. And if you've got a similar property journey with saving for your property, let us know. Our email address is myrealestatepodcast@gmail.com, because we love getting those emails. Let's go to Scott Mitchell from Mitchell's Realty, who is patiently waiting. What do you reckon? Do you reckon you could give up coffee to save for your first home?
I think that would be a struggle, Craig. It would be a struggle. I think that would be a struggle for a lot of us. It is interesting. I remember one of our political members saying that the reason that our younger generation couldn't afford to buy a house was just it was that smashed avo on toast. If you go to those cafe lunches, I think they'll slog you for, I don't know, $10 for avo on toast. So these guys were obviously on the money, and good on them. They've committed to purchasing their first property, getting their foot in the property ladder, and I say congratulations. And look, giving up coffee, that's commitment.
The only thing that I would say that they have bought this one bedroom in Parramatta, I wonder how much they spent on that one bedroom and what that would have converted to in Hervey Bay terms.
Yeah, look, if these guys can work remotely or they just want a whole new lifestyle change, you can still buy a brand spanking new house up here in Hervey Bay for around $625, $650 and get a $30,000 government rebate on that property if you're a first home buyer. So that'll bring it back to, $6 to $625. And units, like our unit markets, I've just listed a few units because we don't seem to do a lot in unit market. But you can still buy a 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom, single lock-up unit in the Bay for $350, $400,000.
Yeah, so, this is the whole thing with you there in Hervey Bay. You're a great ambassador for the area, and you're highlighting the fact, well, hang on, if you are in a Sydney, if you are in a Melbourne, even a Perth, and you're looking for something a little bit cheaper, you've still got the great weather like a Perth, so you're not going to miss out there. This is a great option.
It is. Yeah, look, I'm sitting here today basking. It's like 22 degrees here this morning already. Our winters are spectacular. We've had a couple of cool mornings, though, since we last spoke. We got down to 3 degrees last week, Craig. It was freezing by Hervey Bay standard. Yeah, 3 degrees. So when you come up, don't get rid of all your woolies. Those days it's because we've got the clear night and it's cold, but by 10 o'clock it's back to 22, so it's not all bad.
What has been happening in the local market across the last 30 days? We have been talking about the winter listings. There was this sort of thing that some agents would do is they would sort of hibernate some of these listings and wait for the spring. It's something that doesn't happen in Hervey Bay, clearly.
Still does wind back. We do have a bit of a cycle. So I do find around end of financial year, so sort of mid-June to mid-July, we definitely see a little bit of a tapering off in relation to just general buyer activity and inquiry. But we're a week into school holidays, and only last week we've just had our first Jetstar direct services fly into Hervey Bay from Melbourne. So we've had a few companies over the years, carriers, look to provide that service to Hervey Bay, but none of them have been successful in being able to fulfill those flights and bring them to Hervey Bay. Last Thursday, Jetstar flew the first jet in from Melbourne, and it was packed in both directions. I don't know why people would want to fly from Hervey Bay back to Melbourne at this time of the year. Obviously, friends, family members, and maybe just going out for the nightlife. You can fly down to Melbourne for the weekend now on Jetstar, 3 flights a week. So that's going to be another boom for Hervey Bay, unquestionably. Well, we've already actually dealt with people that flew up here on that very first flight to look at property in Hervey Bay. So that's going to be another bonus for Hervey Bay. Melbourne direct flights 3 times a week on top of our regular Sydney direct flights.
Of course, people are listening to the podcast this morning and they are in Melbourne. They won't be aware that this flight is now direct straight into Hervey Bay. You're going to have to monitor this for us, Scott, and just let us know what sort of numbers you see as a result of phone call inquiries from Melbourneites that'll say, okay, we're going to jump on this direct flight, we're going to come into Hervey Bay, we're going to have a look. And this really does sort of open up that whole real estate landscape that much more.
They're forecasting up to 1,100 low-fare seats every week. They're pretty big numbers. I think it's going to be a boom for Hervey Bay, and unquestionably a lot of people come here. We've discussed this previously, where probably the most consistent trend in our market in the 18 years I've been doing real estate in Hervey Bay is our buyers come in from south of us, New South Wales, and a lot come out of Melbourne. And usually it'll be that spring selling season that we've discussed previously, where they just comes a time when these people that are living down there in those winters, which can be bitterly cold sometimes, they just go, that's it. That's the last winter I'm dealing with down here. I'm going to move north into Queensland. And some of those buyers wind up here in Hervey Bay. Well, the fact they can now jump in a plane and fly up here and then commute back for friends and family reasons, it's just going to make us even more attractive. And we've still got one of the most affordable markets, particularly if you look at the Sunshine Coast south of us, we're still plenty affordable.
All right, so we are talking to Scott on the Fraser Coast there in Hervey Bay. It's a Saturday morning. We will come back next and we will look at a report, and we will also look at building and what is taking place. That is all up next.
Decode the property market with insider knowledge and insights to better navigate your real estate journey on the Real Estate Podcast.
Well, I don't know about you, but deciphering the legitimacy of SMS scam texts can be very, very challenging in 2024, often resulting in financial loss if a scam is successful. Now, new federal legislation is aiming to combat this by introducing the SMS Sender ID Register, which is managed by the Australian Communications and Media Authority. Now, the register allows telcos to verify if messages are sent from a legitimate brand. Fraudulent messages, however, would be blocked or flagged. And following a pilot program and strong public support, the government is considering making the registry mandatory. It's got to be. It just all makes good sense, doesn't it? With the Australian Communications Consumer Action Network saying just take a look at Singapore, because they have reduced scams with a similar sort of model by 64%. So bring it on.
We talk to the most knowledgeable real estate experts across Australia every day from 6 a.m.
And it is a Saturday, and we're talking to Scott Mitchell from Mitchell's Realty there in Hervey Bay. I know that you want to talk about the report that has been launched on Hervey Bay. It's called the Hervey Bay Location Report. Tell us about this.
We've been working with Terry Ryder, so he's one of our country's most respected property analysts and owner of Hot Spotting. Terry does us a quarterly market update specifically on Hervey Bay. We can sign Terry to do those for us, and then we share them for free through our website and social media channels. So we just got our latest report. Hervey Bay's market is still steady, and we've still got a projection of moderate growth for the rest of this year, like upwards of 3% still to come by the end of the year. And if you look around town at the amount of work and projects going on, you can understand why our market is still going to continue to boom for some time yet. And that's really what it is doing. We've got the first tower crane we've seen on our skyline in more than a decade, and that's for the construction that's going on at the moment for the new Hervey Bay Central Business Centre community hub that's in full swing at the moment. It'll incorporate the new council chambers that we're going to have, along with it's got a brand new community hub, an expanded library over 2 levels. There's going to be like a brand new public plaza downstairs. It's going to centralise a lot of our core essential services into Main Street is where it's being built. And that's a fantastic project. So there's some great detail in this report from Terry. And one of his interesting comments I thought was he referred to us as like one of the country's second wind markets. So he suggested that we did come off such a low baseline, having not really experienced any growth in over a decade. We've finally experienced that fantastic growth, which is more like a correction from the previous cycle. We're now seeing that Hervey Bay remains just so affordable and offers such a fantastic lifestyle. We're getting targeted now as one of the country's and definitely Queensland's fastest growing regional centres.
Yeah, in terms of the tower crane, I mean, more than 10 years, as you said, since you've last seen a tower crane in Hervey Bay. That's probably a confidence barometer, I would imagine, for people to take heed of. Now, coming back to the report, the Hervey Bay location report, for our listeners, how do they get their hands on that? Point them to the location, Scott.
Yeah, definitely. Just jump onto our website. So Mitchell's Realty, MITCHELLS, and then Realty, REALTY.com.au. And on every page or on the header, you'll see there's a Market Insights tab. Click on the Market Insights and just go down to Location Report. And if they want to have a look, we've uploaded all our previous reports just pre-COVID. So you can go back a couple of years and you can have a look at Terry's commentary on how our market has changed from pre-COVID till today. And those reports, as I said, they're usually in excess of $350 per report if you were to purchase them. But we are able to offer those free to anyone that wants to jump on our website and download it. You can download it as a PDF, and there's some really good information and detail. And you'll be able to go back through and have a look at some of our previous trends as well.
All right, so the fishing is good in Hervey Bay, the lifestyle is good, and if you are sitting in Melbourne, you can get there with a direct flight. Good stuff, Scott. Enjoy your weekend, enjoy your fishing, and thanks again for coming on to the Real Estate Breakfast this morning.
Yeah, look, and talking fishing, you know what happens when you mention that word fish, Craig, but we're in snapper season because we get a snapper season up here. So those guys that are south of us that don't understand, you wouldn't get snapper in Queensland. Yes, we do, but only for a couple of months. So this has been so far one of the best seasons we've seen in 3 to 5 years for our pink snapper or the knobby snappers. So if you're a fisherman and you want to get up here to Hervey Bay and go and catch a snapper, you can do that as well.
Every week, unravel the real estate market to empower your real estate knowledge.
Yes, definitely. We've definitely seen a rise in inquiries from the parents first. By and large, most first home buyers are assisted with parental backup, whether that's in the form of a guarantee, a gift, or an interest in the property, because, the facts are that property has become almost unaffordable.
Mum and Dad, they call you, you do a bit of a round table, you sit down with the children that are actually buying the property with the help of Mum and Dad. There's probably a lot of questions coming from the parents about, what if this, what if that?
Yeah, absolutely. And it adds a layer of complexity for us as buyer's agents because we really need to ascertain who are the real decision makers, how much autonomy do the children actually have? Because I actually recently had to fire clients because the parentals were getting way too involved and were vetoing properties that the child would actually go for.
We connect you to the best real estate information across Australia. The Real Estate Podcast.